We have, first of all, Ian Reid in the studio, who's the manager of XTC. Later on, incidentally, we'll be showing you the very last you'll ever see of Dean Gabbett and the Gabardines, and telling you a little bit about a forthcoming light operatic production. But first of all, Ian Reid, thanks for coming along, Ian.
Pleasure.
And I hope you're going to tell us something about the dark and dismal business side of running a rock group.
Ask me the questions.
Right. First of all, you started managing XTC just about 2-3 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What were you
about
doing
2 years
in
ago.
Swindon at the time?
Well, running the affair club most of the time. In fact, it was a full-time commitment. But XTC came on the scene, and they obviously had a lot to offer, and the whole thing sort of evolved from a rather slow beginning, and then record company interest and albums and all the rest of it.
I see. Let's take it slowly. You saw...
Right.
What were you doing? Booking rock bands into a discotheque?
Well, at the time, Swindon really was off the map as far as rock bands are concerned, and there wasn't a great deal of excitement happening for the average Swindon youth. But in London, there was this sort of tremendous thing happening called punk rock, which was getting more and more press, etc., etc. And I just thought that we would try it. So we pulled a band called the Vibrators down. That was in December '77, and a very memorable occasion it was too.
Yes, I remember that occasion.
Yes.
None of us could understand it at the time. Yeah.
That's right. Yes, it did get its fair share of flack, but at the same time, it was obvious that the interest was there. The club was packed. We had more comments about that one gig, I would have thought, than perhaps anything else that we'd done before then. It really did sort of...
So you saw this bunch of lads, local lads, playing. Did you first time you saw them, did you say, "Oh, they're the ones, they're going to be"?
No, I didn't say that. It was rather curious how it all sort of happened, really. They had been very, very strongly recommended by Dave James, and he kept on and on and on about this incredible band who were really going to make it, and they were really superb musicians, etc., etc., and they're highly original. And we had them play on a Wednesday, I think it was, as part of a sort of weekly policy, and they really were quite unique. If they weren't up to sort of national standard, it was merely because they had merely been playing in Swindon. But they really showed then the sort of promise that has been latterly fulfilled.
There were only just XTC then, weren't they?
Yeah, they were the Helium Kids before that.
You saw them as a potential recording band.
Yeah, yes I did.
Right.
And we set about trying to get a recording contract.
Right, now
So-
at the time, you was only the manager of the affair club, and you hadn't got any... How much experience had you had in the rock field?
Well, as far as managing rock bands, none whatsoever. But I had been involved in entertainment
Yes.
and clubs, which give one a sort of basic understanding of what to go for. And so we set off up to London to
Right.
track down these moguls and get them to open their checkbooks.
Yes. And how did you do it? I mean, what do you think was the most important quality you needed? Did you need to be pushy? Did you need lots of money in your pocket? Or did you
Yes.
need to know the right people?
Well, had we known the right people, it would certainly have helped. But no, the main assets are a telephone, plenty of time, sheer persistence, and a fairly deep pocket too.
Yes, I see. What did you do?
Well, we went up to London, and we literally trod the streets on a very cold December it was too, and we kept thrusting this tape under all these people's noses and saying, "Listen to this." And we got mild reaction from one or two people. Some we got no reaction at all. And curiously enough, one of the first people to really show any real interest was Jonathan King.
Good Lord.
Yes, who wanted to take one of the songs off this demo tape that we had and record it, but the deal he offered, frankly, wasn't realistic. And then CBS came along, Nicky Graham. He was really enthusiastic about the band. He actually paid to have them demo some songs in their demo studio. And he came down to Swindon as well, just after Christmas '76.
Mm-hmm.
And it all sort of started from there.
I see. And the ball began to roll. How difficult was it? You've got these sort of very professional people from record companies coming down to dear old Swindon. I mean, every time I'd mentioned Swindon before 1976 to anybody outside who was in the business, they laughed.
Yes, it tends to get much the same reaction today.
Yes.
But there's no reason why it should now, of course. Because
do you think it's something national, that there are millions of towns up and down the country that people laugh, or has Swindon got this special magic for...
No, I think Swindon shares something with Neasden in that respect. It seems to be one of these sort of towns that does sort of make people suppress giggles. But certainly as far as rock is concerned, because you just don't expect a vibrant force like XTC to spring out of its, the BR British Rail yards. But
so we're the East Sheen of the 50s, of the
used
70s.
To be,
yes.
used to be, not anymore.
Yes, right. So we've got XTC playing at the Affair. How had they changed? To see this CBS man.
How had they changed?
Yes, we've got lots of rock musicians watching, and people who sort of play anything from opera to pop music. I mean, how had XTC changed? What difference had it made to them to get a record company involved?
They hadn't changed a jot, actually. Certainly, they have resisted change. I mean, if any change has come about, it's always been from within, and they've tended to fight shy of merely adopting new directions purely to fit the current trend. No, they've always been pretty unique in that respect.
Well, they're still doing the same stage performance, saying the same things, same songs in the same order? Or is that what had changed?
By and large, yes, a band set doesn't change that much. I mean, it just sort of evolves, and one or two songs taken out and one or two new ones put in. So the process of change is very, very gradual. I mean, don't just suddenly alter your course and say, well, that last lot was no good, we'll try this lot now. It just doesn't happen that way. But no, I mean, Nicky Graham from CBS had seen the band play at the Affair, and with the one or two songs that he had particularly earmarked, and Monkey Woman was one of them, which I don't think we played since about that time, certainly on stage, and Statue of Liberty was the other that he was particularly keen on, and of course that didn't see the light of day for a further year when we recorded it for Virgin.
And Virgin came on the scene and they offered the right deal.
Right.
They said, we like your band, here, take a few checks. And you went out, got yourself lots of equipment and went on the road.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Fun enough, during the summer of that year, there was suddenly an awful lot of record company interest in the band. And it was a question of almost playing one off against the other to up the various aspects of the deal. And Virgin eventually got the contract, as you say. And yeah, from there on it was we released the 3D EP with which really met with great critical acclaim, and then to do White Music and to record that, which is done at the Manor.
Yes, and then the desperate attempt to get XTC a hit single. Is it a desperate attempt to get XTC?
It used to be desperate, yes. We had a different sort of outlook on the whole way a band should emerge at that time. We felt that to get a hit single was really what it was all about. But I think we've changed our attitude now. We now see the whole thing very much as sort of slow and steady progress, in much the same way as one builds any business, looking for certain areas, territories, and slowly building on. And of course, the thermometer is the number of units you shift the number of records you sell in any one given territory. So we're really not desperate for a hit single, although we won't disguise the fact that it would be quite nice.
Right, then there was a very unusual and swift swap of organist. What happened? I never really understood that.
No, John Perkins, who has latterly been with Stadium Dogs, he used to be in the XTC lineup, as you'll have seen from that clip. But he, around about the time of the CBS deal, decided that XTC was not the sort of musical direction he wanted to go in, so he quit. And we then had to very hastily find a replacement. And at one stage, funnily enough, for the CBS demo, when Nicky Graham came down to Swindon, we got hold of Bob Hall to come in, and very good job he made of it too. He actually sort of did no more than a couple of hours rehearsal, and he filled in on the set. But then we were very lucky to find Barry Andrews, who stayed in the lineup until quite recently, when he's just left, and he's now embarking on his own career.
Where did you find Barry?
The band found him. I've no idea where he's... At that time, I had no idea where he'd sprung from, but...
they dug him up.
Yes, right, yeah, but he... extraordinarily good keyboard player, and he fitted in absolutely, and gave XTC a large part of their sound.
Right, so we have a new organist and the XTC sound we know now.
Right.
And we've had a few attempts at some hit singles, a couple of hit albums, really, because they all got into the top 30.
They did, yes. Oh, absolutely.
And then comes Barry's split. How much of a blow was that? Did you, as the manager and the sort of guiding light, start tearing your hair out and stop sleeping?
No, it doesn't happen like that. I mean, you have to be realistic, and if things are not working out within a band, then the time for change, changes just have to be made.
Because I think we ought to make it clear that it was quite a happy split, wasn't it?
Oh, it was very amicable, yes. It's Barry had felt that he had contributed as much as he could to the band, and he was obviously moving off in a different direction, so he decided to call it a day. And it was then that XTC decided to change their lineup, and we've now got David Gregory in on guitar. So it's an all-guitar band now.
And what's the plans? I know you've got a single coming out very soon.
Yes, Life Begins at the Hop. It's the first one that Colin Moulding has written as a single. And we've got high hopes for it. It comes out on April the 27th. It'll get a massive push from the record company. They're more than convinced that it's going to be a hit, so we're keeping our fingers crossed. And we will tour around that. We're going to Ireland fairly shortly on the 18th. And then we do the British leg of the tour. That ends up on May the 14th. And after that we might well start the next album, although we've begun to get a bite of a hit in Australia, so we might have to go out there.
Oh, that sounds very pleasant.
Right, yeah, it's funny enough, it's a single... the last single, Are You Receiving Me, which really hit the dust with an emphatic bang over here, but absolutely no way. But it's starting to pick up in Holland, and last Friday, it was number 35 in Australia, so it's happening over there. So we might well go over to Australia. Other than that, obviously America is our prime target.
You've got an interesting, because you had a number one, didn't you, somewhere?
A number one in Yugoslavia, yes, we've had a number one in Yugoslavia.
And
yes.
Yes. Why didn't you go there? Tell us the story of why you didn't go to Yugoslavia.
We'll go there soon, but why didn't we go?
Yes.
Well, we were all set up, and it was on the tour, and it was all, we were going to go there, and then we learned that the local commissariat, whatever they're called, had taken over the two principal places where we were going to play, and they were going to use them for conventions. So we were refused entry.
Oh.
So we hightailed it out of there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you've had a number one hit, that's the important
Yes,
thing.
we have, yeah. Statue of Liberty got to number one in Yugoslavia.
Yes.
There you are.
Oh.
All is not lost.
Jolly good. And thanks for telling us what's going to happen.
Pleasure.